We're not going to introduce any more tools in this session. It's just going to continue being reinforcing this trick of the stamp tool and getting to a place where you're absolutely certain that you understand what's happening and how to use it. So here, let's say that you want to remove this wire from this photo. And this can be used, again, for all sorts of things, be it wires, be it whatever. And I'm going to use the spot healing brush just to kind of show you its limitations and also what it's good at. So you'll notice that right here, that's absolutely terrible. Also notice that I'm not doing the entire thing at once with the spot healing brush because that's just a recipe for a disaster. With any healing brush, always do little segments at once. Yeah, this isn't an acceptable solution right here. So I'm going to decrease the size of it. I'm going to zoom in a little bit, and I'm just going to do little sections at once. So if we do little sections at once, little sections that are consistent with each other, and actually if you just go over the same spot a few times, you can get it to work and try to make it so you don't go over an edge with the spot healing brush. We'll do another pass where we go for edges. So even right here, I'm a little wary because there's sort of an edge right there. We're going to do another pass for these areas that I just know the spot healing brush isn't going to work. So even right here, I'm going to undo, or step back in the history palette, I suppose. So one thing, just notice I'm using the spot healing brush and it's working like that. If I was smarter, and I am smarter, I'm just going to use the healing brush. So it adds one extra step, but it gives you a little bit more control. Alt, click, let go of Alt, and then just move up here, and it's essentially the stamp tool, but a fancier version. This is something that was introduced, I don't know, a few versions of Photoshop ago, maybe in CS3 or something. And it was just such a killer feature when it was introduced. I have no idea what the programming is that went into it, but geniuses, geniuses. All right, so this is kind of an impossible area. And because of that, I'm going to see what Spot Healing Brush does. Maybe it'll figure everything out. Yeah, it does a pretty good job. There are literally areas, this has a lot to do with the introduction of the content-aware fill, that I would not be able to fix if it didn't have tools like this. So some of them it does fix, some of them it's less aware of what it should do. All right, so this is as far as we're going to get with these automated tools of the Spot Healing Brush. So let's create another layer, and with this one, go in and use the Clone Stamp tool. Our friend, the Clone Stamp tool. So once the automated feature is no longer working, the next step is going in with Clone Stamp. And again, just always remembering that the only thing that matters is the edge. If you get that right, everything else follows. You're in good shape. And always just keep sampling and make sure that you're getting it going from a good place. And let's just go through this. I'm going to go through this slowly. I'm going to go through this in real time. I'm not going to do this with too many other examples, just because after a while, watching someone copy and paste feels pretty boring. All right, so other tricks to keep in mind when doing this. Yeah, just use your best judgment for whether or not it's worth it to fix an image. Like, is there a way to get this image without the wire being there? Can you show this to the client? Can you show this to your friends with the wire still being in there? Always try to get the photo right in the original shoot, because doing this, it doesn't take forever, but it takes time. And I would much rather, go around and get that slightly better angle inside of the shoot, spend the 5 minutes there rather than spending the 5 minutes here, like really 10 or 15 minutes here to fix it. So never be like, we'll fix it in post. Those are the, we'll fix it in post. Those are the 5 worst words any, compositor or, especially with video. One thing that I've worked with a lot in the past is video. And as bad as fixing this for a single image is, imagine doing this for something where there's 24 frames a second and it's a wire that's going across all of them and it needs to be fixed. This is with After Effects, not with Photoshop, but it's a very similar principle. It's a very similar technique. And one of the reasons why I got pretty good at Photoshop was doing things in video. And if you're doing 24 frames a second, you better be pretty darn good at fixing it, or you will never finish even a 2-second clip. All right, so we have after, before, after. Looks pretty darn good to me. I'm going to save this. Let's move on to the next image.